Welcome to another edition of the Newark Citizen Forum. With me, as always, here to discuss the issues important in the city of Newark. My man Anton Willow. What's up, Anton? You
How you
feeling, man? Anton always cool and collected. You know what I'm saying? And to in place of the our superstar Dr. Chris Purnell, who had another venture tonight, we have the lovely Linda Juma.
Who's a superstar in her own right.
Yes,
you.
she is. Owner of Lux.
That's right.
And don't be butting in on my introduction when I'm talking.
Narcissism is a very contagious
This owner of Lux used to be involved in politics. She's no longer involved in politics at Newark. So I really can't tell y'all what type of information she's going to add to this conversation.
I'm sure it'll be useful for her.
She wants to talk about fashion.
I'm going to give the fashion perspective.
Right. So maybe we'll have some fashion questions. What do you think?
But you guys look nice, speaking of fashion.
Thank you very much. You look well yourself.
Thank you.
You sell these at Lux?
You did good.
You sell these?
Sell
Matter of fact, where's Lux? Tell me where Lux.
83 Halsey Street in Newark, New Jersey.
Why we don't have? We should have Lux on the website. We should go take pictures of Lux and put Lux on the website so we can advertise it.
You should absolutely.
How would you like that? Would you like that?
Yeah.
Just for showing them tonight, we're gonna go and take some pictures.
That's why you want me.
That's right. That's my people.
You can retrofit them. This is the new
Exactly.
I'll be sure.
You got to sell some mink clothes though.
I mean, we do good with ladies. Just bring your lady down.
I'm always buying from
You
the
are.
lady, but I'm
You
talking
are.
where's the mink clothes though?
TSM on Berkeley. That's a plug for my friend Kabori.
Yeah, unfortunately, he just don't have clothes that fits me. No, he doesn't. I'm the big guy.
I go to a big party.
He got clothes that fit you.
Yeah, I know he does. I go there all.
Yeah. He got ties and stuff that I buy, but I can't fit the clothes. But TSM is another good shop to buy clothes from. So Lux, TSM, all black owned.
Hey, look,
Young
maybe you can do
entrepreneurs.
Cammy Anderson's shop there. She's doing a lot of overhauls. Maybe overhaul her wardrobe.
So with that, let's get right up into our issues. And the first issue I wanted to discuss is the finalization of the Newark School Board closing. Right now, the Board of Education held a press conference. Cammy Anderson held a press conference at Quitman Street School, which was actually invited guests only, by the way, just to let y'all know. The regular public could not go to this press conference, and so you actually had to have a ticket to go to a public school press conference to inform the community that they have decided which ones of their schools that they're closing. So originally the number was 7 schools that was slated to be closed. They dropped it down to 6 schools. I think Mill Street was the one that was that was supposed to be closed, that they changed their mind of, and now they're going to keep Mill Street open. But they're still closing 6 Newark public schools. And today we actually had a meeting at 2C Street because of the closing, based on the job cuts and the layoffs that's about to come up on a number. Now I want to get deep into that, but I do want to ask you, Anton, since you are my educator on this forum, what do you think about this closing, man? And what do you think the real intention is?
I say all the time, I think that the overall message in this new movement is about real estate. I really honestly believe it's just about changing how the money is spent with regards to providing the needs and services for our kids. I don't believe in failing schools. I don't care if you're a charter school. I don't care if you're a private institution. I don't care if you're a traditional public institution. My opinion and how I feel about that debate is a bit more complex, and it would take much more than what we have here. Because see, unlike most people who talk about education, I'm an educator. I'm a teacher. And I have a very serious problem with people who want to stand up and talk about education, but the great majority of people who talk about it don't know anything about it. I don't see any medical questions. Nobody that's not a doctor doesn't raise their hand. A legal question, nobody that's not a lawyer doesn't raise their hand. But when it comes to education, everybody thinks they can teach. So I don't believe in failing schools. The aggregate amount of statistics that determine the numbers and say who was what. I know I read somewhere where you had one school where 20% of the kids were reading on grade level, 15% of the kids were reading on grade level. We're struggling with a graduation rate, a very low graduation rate. As a teacher, no one can tell me about whether or not social and economic issues play a role into education and things of that nature. We could belabor that and pontificate ad nauseum about the social economic issues that face our kids when trying to be educated. But I believe that something needs to be done. I don't believe that you take hold of and be proud of and rally to save failure. What type of message does that send to our children? So when you really think about that, the question I ask is, of those schools that were low performing, of the people that are fighting to keep them open, all right, how many of them believe that it is okay that 85% of the people, or whatever percent of that amount that is much greater, how many people believe that that is okay and that school should be open because of that? If I was a poor teacher, I shouldn't teach anymore. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, money has always played a role in everything we do. Now, who's controlling the money? What type of hedge funds, what type of management groups and things are coming into education, because it's the last big government cash cow. Next will be the Department of Transportation. I said that 2 shows ago. So it's education. And it's about money transfer and how it's spent. I believe we should be in a country where everything with regards to education is free. So you shouldn't have to pay. So that's what this is about, though, Rockman. It's about having to pay. You're a labor union man. Right. You're about jobs.
Right. But the problem, but here's my problem with the state's been controlling the public school system for 17 years.
Yes.
And they've been running their theories about education for 17 years. Nobody in Newark has had any say-so on how education has been running for 17 years. As a matter of fact, prior to 1995, when the state came in, our graduation rates were higher than what they currently are.
Right.
And they took us over based on the fact at whatever level the graduation rates were then. That's the reason why they took us over. And yet we actually lower on graduation rates than we were back in 1995. And the state has been in complete control of the Board of Education. And yet, when they came in, there was an $82 million surplus. Or
it was $76 million. It was 76 when Bentley Hall was superintendent. It was $76 million surplus.
Right. There was a multi-million-dollar surplus. They routed the funds when they came in with these consultants. They laid off a lot of folks. They routed the funds with spending money on consultants. They pushed their theories about what education should be in this city for 17 years. None of it has worked. None of it has worked. And now we have Cami Anderson, Cory Booker, all these people who are pro-charter school folks, right? I want to be clear about this because, and I had this debate with them today when we were at Cedar Street today, that when we look at we sit in a room going over a budget where charter school budget, the state is projecting that charter school budgets will increase by 41% this year.
They wanted more.
That they wanted more. Now they gave the public schools a pass, and they didn't have to give up the whole 41% increase, but they still increasing it by $31 million. And now we have a budget shortfall of $36 million. Right. So there's a correlation between the fact that most of this money is being taken because it's going into charter schools. So the cause of the reason why we're having budget deficit at this point is because we continuously keep promoting and adding more charter schools to the system, which all of them are not working, by the way, right? Only a few of them actually are working. And yet instead we got leaders in the Board of Education who continuously promote charter schools as a better opportunity. So when the lady today was debating, talking about the parents are walking with their feet, yes, if the leaders of the city, if the leaders in the educational system portray that charter schools is a better avenue for their child than public schools, and you take out all the good kids and all you got left over is the bad school, then the system is geared for failure. And Linda, that's my issue. What do you think about that? Am I right or wrong about that?
I agree with you on this one. Rockman.
I appreciate it.
I would really have to agree with you on this one. I don't think that closing public schools is the answer. And I definitely don't think that charter schools is 100% the right answer. I think that we need to do a better job of letting people know what schools actually work, what techniques work in the schools, and try to incorporate that into the failing public schools and failing charter schools. Right now, I think it's like really popular to pull your kid out of public school and take them into a charter school and not really know all the facts. Parents don't know if this charter school is performing well, where these teachers are coming from. They don't know that. But all we know is that charter schools are doing better than public. And I think people are doing
it's marketed, that charter school.
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
People are doing a really good job of marketing the fact that our public schools are failing and charter schools is the better option.
But our leaders are doing that. And my problem that I got, Anton, is that the people in charge of public education dollars. So we got the hens in the chicken house. You know what I'm saying? And what they're doing is they supposed to be protecting the egg, the nest egg, when really they trying to figure out how they can attack the egg.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting up here saying that we got Cammie Anderson, we have Cory Booker, both who are charter school advocates, and these are the leaders, and we got advisory board members that are charter school advocates, and these folks want to build more charter schools, and they're promoting charter schools as a viable option. And so we got a public educational system, and we got people in charge of that system that's not really for public education. Well, they say charter schools is public education. Okay, so I agree because it's public dollars, it is public education. However, you know what I'm saying? It's draining resources from institutions, and what they're doing in these charter schools is when they get kids that can't perform on the level that they want the charter school, they put them out, and they send them back to the public school. So they keep their stats up.
No. But don't you understand that in itself means that the policy written is flawed.
Oh, I don't disagree, Anton, but no one's they're not trying to change that.
See, and before we get off into this, I'm for good schools, period. So I ain't pro charter. I ain't pro, let's keep open a failing school. I'm not none of that.
Right.
You know, because I teach.
Right.
So, you know, people can sit and talk about whatever they want and theorize, take your tail in the classroom, and then come talk to me about what worked. Until anybody does that, that's a part of this debate. You know, I mean, we talk about teachers' unions and see how when we really talk about it, you know, I'm a black male teacher. There's 5 million teachers in this country. Only 100,000 black men. So we can really talk about disparities in education and really deal with that. But more so than this, you know what my real problem is? The community hasn't rallied around that. Why is it that when it's
they haven't rallied around what?
Rallied around the issue of schools failing? When black people got in charge of the school system in this town, and this is not a comment like Steve Adubato made, please give me a break. All right, but when black people got in control of the school system in this town, it was about jobs. It wasn't about education. You understand what I'm trying to say? It wasn't about giving our kids the best education. And you know what? When black people came in charge of these schools, because they didn't create the system that they wanted to reform, our educational system went down. It did. We used to have top high schools, public high schools in the country. We did. And they went down. So I'm saying our community didn't organize completely around that focus. And whenever there's a void in the community, someone will fill it.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily believe it went down for those reasons. I believe it went down for the environmental reason, that because our environment got worse.
You're a part of a union that has made their bones. I love this organization.
I'm sorry, but made their bones what?
Made their bones being involved in the Board of Education.
Right, but what that got to do with
the Board of Education has been. The Board of Education for the past 30 years has been who you can place where by what job as opposed to what kids.
Listen, I'm not.
The last time I remember a public education school in Newark, outside of one that was in the North Ward or in the East Ward, getting a blue ribbon charter probably was Harriet Tubman. A blue ribbon was Harriet Tubman. Anything outside of those culturally significant boundaries with the rest of the city, our schools have not done what they could have done.
But I'm going to say it again. I'm not blaming that on teachers and what's going on in school. I'm blaming that on lack of, I'm blaming that on lack of parental involvement in kids' education. And let me be very clear, because you're absolutely correct. But let's be clear that it wasn't. The union is there to protect workers and to make sure that workers. Hold on, wait, because I want to clear something up with that statement that you made. Because the union wasn't selecting who get a job, and we represent workers who actually work. All we do is try to make sure that the workers that work in the education system have the tools and rights on the job. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do. We don't go inside. We don't go inside the school and tell the thing to hire this person, to hire that person, to hire that. That's not our thing. So I don't want to. Because
politicians in this town don't have a list of people that they get hired in the Board of Education.
And I'm saying to you, the state of New Jersey for over 17 years.
You're not saying that that's not how things go.
I'm gonna say it again. The state of New Jersey, who have been controlling.
I'm chairman of the school board. You're not saying
the state of New Jersey. Who has been controlling the state?
I'm saying the politics in this town. What does it dictate?
Anton, you gonna let me respond because we both
Brother, the politics in this town. What does it dictate?
To you, the state has been controlling the system for 17 years.
And it's still the same.
Exactly what you blew up. Exactly. That's my point.
It's the same.
So I'm saying that right. So I'm saying to you is that that's in every form of government too. By the way, not just the educational system.
You're right.
Okay.
So
I want to be clear about that. It's not
that the housing authority.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with
the city of Newark.
Right, has nothing to do with the educational system. But I want to get back to children's education. Because I really believe
you can't talk about children's education if everybody playing politics with it.
I don't believe that though. I don't believe everybody playing politics.
Then why is the system failing?
More so than ever, the system failed to me because of lack of parental involvement. I'm sorry. Because if you got an active, involved parent in a child's life and his education, you get more out of that child. I'm sorry. That's what I believe. And I'm saying to you, if you go to charter school,
I'm a teacher, I know that.
if your kid go to a charter school, right, the charter school mandates parental involvement.
Public schools do too.
Actually, they don't because they can't force parental
They can't
involvement.
do it to the extent
Right.
that the
Charter schools do it. So I'm saying, like,
That's
for instance,
policy.
in the
And
North,
I
can
also
say.
think that people have
Right.
a higher
That's
expectation
policy.
Right.
of charter schools.
Right.
That's
than
policy.
parents.
And
All of that is
right.
policy. That needs to be changed.
but you can't force that in a public educational system. Whereas though Steve Adubato in the Northwest Center makes these parents come out, get involved, and become active, or else their child will no longer be in the school system, right? You cannot do that
But
in a
that's
public
an
educational
option
system.
that he can
And I'm
use
saying
that
to you,
threat
there's
because
no
they don't want
policy.
them in our school.
And I'm saying there is
Because
no
our schools are
anti,
failing.
but there's no policy that changes that paradigm.
Well, we need to create it and make
But
it change.
you can't. You
Why
cannot.
can't you?
Because you're never going to be able to force the public school system to get rid of a child because of lack of a parent involvement in that child's education system. However, a charter
You ever
school.
take an education law class and know what's called parental
No,
neglect?
I don't. I've never taken an
Educational
education
neglect.
law class. I'm telling you right now,
Educational neglect.
public schools don't have that options.
If they,
Educational
I
neglect is
believe,
different from parental
if
involvement.
they make it a policy involved that says you have to show, it's the same
And if you
thing,
don't,
just like
what's the
truancy.
penalty?
Just like truancy. Your kid don't go to school, you get caught, you gotta go to court.
But if you don't, what's
So
the
if it's
penalty,
about-
Anton?
What do you mean? What's the penalty?
What's the penalty if that parent doesn't get involved in the public school system? If right now the Board of Education put a policy, or the advisory board put a policy that said that parents are, we demand that parents participate in their child education, and the parent turned around and said, I'm not participating in that child's education, what would be the penalty for that school to do? What policy would you implement to penalize that child? You
Homeschool.
cannot kick that child out.
Homeschooling.
Nah, brother, I'm telling you, it just wouldn't. It's just not gonna happen.
No, it's just not
in the
appealing.
public
People
sector.
don't like that because
Because
it's
it just won't happen in the public education system. Whereas though in charter schools, they do that, Linda.
It
That's
just
what they
won't
do.
happen in the public education. If the people wanted it, would happen. What I'm saying to you, people don't want to be held accountable. They want to do as least as possible.
Bro.
And that's the problem.
Listen, I'm saying to you,
Right,
Andy
policy dictates, it takes political will. You can create whatever policy you want.
Yeah, but you cannot turn. You're never going to be able to enforce that sort of policy.
I don't
And I'm
believe
saying to you that it's just as much as you say those people prior to state takeover played politics with kids' education. I'm sorry, Cory Booker, Cammie Anderson, and
Oh, they
everybody
all
else
do,
coming up with
Rockman. I'm
these
not
theories
saying that they
about
don't. Did I say
education
that
and
they
playing
did?
that now.
Did I say that they did?
No,
I said they all do.
to me, it seems like you said that the only people that pre 95.
that's how you took it,
Those were the people that were playing
That's
with
how you
people.
took it.
These folks is
And I
playing with
remember the
folks
people that's
because
hot for the
they're.
state to get out of here now, they begged for them to come
Oh,
here.
I agree.
So I ain't got that. So let's
I
not
don't
talk
disagree
now.
with you.
The people that begged for them to come here,
I don't
they
disagree.
hollering for them to get out of here now.
I don't disagree.
The same
I
people
don't
stand
disagree.
up talking
I don't
about I
disagree.
love kids,
I don't disagree.
and I do this and I do that.
I
The
don't
same
disagree.
politicians, they asked for the state to come in here. And you know what the problem is? Exactly what I'm talking about. They didn't have a plan to usher the state
might
in
need to go to-
or usher the state out.
In addition to the fact, I think we scaring Linda.
No, I'm
Linda
not
is
scared.
getting
That's
that.
So what's the
It's
plan though? So now we're saying, okay, this is why the schools are failing. So now that schools are failing, like what's the plan? Do you think it's okay to close schools?
I think anything that doesn't work needs to be revisited and reevaluated.
But
Would
not
you-
closed though.
I think that
Because that's like a
whatever
different-
doesn't work needs to be revisited, reevaluated, and
Are they
reconstituted.
doing
Whether
that
you
same
close
thing
it,
with charter schools?
I think that whatever is
They're not
failing,
doing it with charter.
and whatever's there too. I'm all aboard. Equity across the board. So nobody's going to try to make me think like, anti like charter schools over public schools. No.
No.
Anti want equity across the board.
Yeah, but they're
I
not
wouldn't
doing
care.
that.
I don't care if it was Choke Rosemary Hall.
Yeah,
I don't
but
care where it is.
But they don't
Take
hold
place.
charter schools to the same standard they hold.
That's the
public
problem I'm saying. The community has allowed for that to
schools.
happen.
What do you mean the community?
Listen, man, when you keep putting people
I'm
in
not saying
office,
the
B,
community don't set the
when you keep
guidelines
putting
on what
people-
charter
when
schools
you
do.
keep putting people in office that don't cater to your needs, see, we having a different discussion, Rock Mom. What I'm saying is that our community need to more be involved and oriented in policy discussions and debates. What we're talking about now is an emotion, in my opinion, is an emotional thing that deals with our society, and that people come out on this emotional issue, schools closing and things of that nature. But I believe this. If each community individually had a policy think tank or something like that that sat down, however, monthly, yearly, bi-monthly, and said, these are the things that we want from our elected officials, our pastors. Don't forget, we got pastors that sold out everybody went to charter school.
Oh, I agree.
So all these, you understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is this: until the community takes ownership and full responsibility,
That's parental involvement.
Rockman, what I'm saying to you is that you got to make parents get involved whatever way you need.
Right,
to.
but I'm saying, but
whatever way you
but
need
all
to.
parents aren't able to be involved.
Well, that's the problem, and that's the problem.
And that's why you have
I believe that there are
representatives
more
of
parents
the
that can be involved and just choose not to.
I think that's
I'm
probably
a teacher.
true, too.
I'm just saying, I'm a teacher. I just see it differently. I believe that there are more parents that will be concerned with being dismissive of their teacher, of their child's teacher, as opposed to getting engaged and really see what's going on in the classroom. I honestly believe that.
And then there's a lot of people that don't know that they should be involved.
I
Or they don't
think
have
that
the capacity to be involved. That's important too.
the capacity to be involved. Also, they don't have the understanding to be involved because the same school system that's dealing with their kids failed them. So when you look at all those different aggregates, man, what I'm saying is nobody really sat down and stirred a soup. Everybody just said that, I don't like what's in that pot, but nobody went over there to really try to change the ingredients.
Anton, I think we're missing the point.
No, I don't. I'm not.
And
You're not gonna get me to change my mind, bro. I
I'm not.
I don't believe anything failing should stand. I believe it should be revisited and reconstituted.
And none of us, hold on, first of all, I don't think anybody on this panel is advocating that we should continue failing schools, that we should turn around and reform failing schools. But closing them, to me, is just not the solution.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think any of us is disagreeing with that. But I would believe, to me, if you closing Martin Luther King because you said that that's a failing school, their issue, to me, it's a much deeper issue on why those kids are failing, not doing what they're supposed to do in school, rather than you saying it's just the teacher's fault, that the teacher is not teaching. Because you cannot tell me, I'm not convinced, I'm sorry, and I do think we got some bad teachers. But guess what? That's like saying
I don't believe the great
that's
majority.
just like, right, exactly. That's my point. That's like saying we got all bad cops.
You ain't gonna tell me 40 or 30 of them bad.
Right.
You might have 15.
Right, and that's my point.
And then they might be 15 and 5 just can't wait to retire.
But that's my point. Then that's my point, and that's what I'm trying to say. So they use an excuse to try to make it seem like teachers in generally aren't teaching the kids in the school without doing a survey, without going into the neighborhood, without going to the community, without trying to find out what is going on in that child's environment. That's stopping it. Listen, if you listen to, if you was at that debate, the other day, and if you listen to that teacher that was on that panel, what's his name, the Indian guy that's running. If you listen to the retired teacher that's running, if you listen to him and what he was saying about how, you know what I'm saying, and listen, and I've never talked to this kid, this man in my life, and this man is educated. He has degrees up the wazoo, and yet he still understands that child environment that child lives in is a big cause of why it is that child is not being educated. And he gave a story. Hold up, and he gave a story. And he gave a story. He related a story about a child who was having learning problems in school that he went to talk to and asked them, and she told him all these things that was going on in her home life. One reason why it was that she wasn't, you know what I'm saying, studying, paying attention to doing what she's doing. And I'm saying in Newark, because of poverty, because of the environment, because of gangs, because of what's going on, the drug abuse, and this because we got single parent homes, because we got 2 and 3 generations living in the same house, living in 2-bedroom apartments, sleeping on floors, sleeping on couches, some sleeping in closets, because we have those circumstances going in the city. But that's real, though. But that's real, Linda. That's real. That's real. Listen, when we was kids, my sister slept in the closet. You know what I'm saying? She slept on the shelf. My mother made in our room, the boys' room. She made a shelf in the in the closet for my thing. Which one you talking about? She got a master's degree. What are you talking about? She's a teacher in Florida in West Palm Beach with a master's degree.
But all of that is important.
How are you doing now?
What are you talking about?
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay now, but it wasn't because of that. Let's be clear. It had nothing to do with that, though. Because, you know what I'm saying, you got to understand, there was a point in life when my stepfather was there, and then it was after my stepfather. And after my stepfather, chaos began to ensue. So let's not, I don't really want to get into my life, but I'm the poster child for what goes wrong when you don't have an environment in your home that allows for education of that.
That's my thing, the end result.
Right, but I was at home, though. But the difference is I was at home.
Everybody got a story. We all do. We all done did some shit. We all, you know what I mean?
But I'm trying to be clear, though.
I'm being for real, man.
I'm trying to be clear. Is that
because I know environment and everything. People, I know everybody. A lot of people came through some problems. Yeah, but that's parents or whatever.
But that's a problem. Why these kids aren't learning?
What I'm saying, it's not the only issue, and we shouldn't rest it.
But no one's saying that it's a major issue in the city, though.
Anything that has to do with a child's education is a major issue.
See, you know,
Don't tell me what come on
That's
TV
major
is.
I'm sorry.
How much time they
Like,
sit in front of the
Right.
TV
If
is?
there was a weight scale, that would be 80% to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
That's a really big part of
when
it.
I listen to some of
That's
these
a
folks,
big part of kids not being able to pay attention in class.
Yes.
Like
TV
they're
is
thinking
too.
about what's going on in their
Not
household,
learning
where they're going
homework.
to sleep.
Right.
TV is
All of
too.
those things are really important. Like your mom is in a shelter, you're living in a shelter. All of those things are really important and
Right.
getting educated.
Right.
And so if you have a child in a classroom where they don't know where they're going to sleep at night, they just got placed with diapers that morning, they had to go to school that day. All of those things play a point into you not being able to
I
concentrate
agree
in
with you.
class.
I agree with you.
and I'm saying
And
that.
I'm
So
saying
again,
those
I
are not-
agree with Rahman that your social factors play a really big part in it.
Social factors
A
play
major
great
part.
play a major part, but there are also other mitigating circumstances that are there too.
Wow.
When is the last time either of you have been in a classroom to teach?
We're
try-
not
Teacher
teachers.
Teacher by
about-
profession.
We're not
I'm just
teachers by
saying,
profession.
let's volunteer, you know.
We not teachers by profession. I talk to the students at the youth.
Would you
house.
like to do that?
I was
Would you
about
like
to
to
listen.
teach for a week?
I talk to the students at the youth house.
Would you like to talk?
I
teach
talk
for
to the
a week?
students at the youth house.
You
Is
smile
that
about
teaching?
that. It ain't funny. No.
I'm telling you, I
I'm
talk
up
to
there,
them. I'm saying
Would
that
any of you
teaching.
like to go into a class?
I mean, I'm
I
not
don't
a
have a
teacher by
problem.
profession.
Whoa,
but
I don't have a problem going to no
I'm-
classroom. But I'm
To
sitting
teach a
there.
lesson?
Yes, to teach a lesson.
But he's not
I'm
a teacher. Why
right.
would he
That's
do
not what I
that?
asked.
That's not.
But why
not
would he
what
do
I
that?
asked.
I don't get that.
Well, the reality to it is this. Like I said, everybody, when asked a question about education, it's the only place I know where people who aren't teachers got something to say.
What are you talking about? We got kids because I got kids.
I pay taxes in this
Right.
city.
I mean,
No, I'm not saying your opinion doesn't matter.
I'm saying, what are you
What
talking
is the
about? I don't
plan, the
understand.
philosophy, and the policy to deal with those issues?
I don't listen. I don't.
If you know the problems, let's talk about the solutions. How
But
do
we
we
know
deal
the
with
problems,
it?
and I think that's why you have people in place that should deal with it. That's according to what the community wants.
But what are the
Exactly.
solutions?
And
So
so
what are
that's
some
why
of
The
the
you have
community
the
should
school
come up with
board,
the
and that's
solution.
why
That's
you
my
have-
point.
All right, so what is the solution? What is
They
the
don't
community-
ask the community for the solution.
Okay, so before then, before the state came in, evidently the community wasn't a part of the solution-making barrier anyway because the state was asked to come in by Ron Rice and a bunch of Ron Rice Sr. and a bunch of other people.
I don't disagree with you on
So
that.
what I'm saying to
The
you
problem
is
that
how
I have-
involved has our community been in educating
I
their kids?
agree. I agree. That's the problem. Well,
Oh,
Anton, we
okay.
agree. That's the problem. You're right. The lack of community involvement is the reason why our kids aren't being educated, which is the parents, by the way. Let's be very clear about that. And I'm saying to you, because of what's going on in these children's lives, when they go home, that is a big impact of what
Well,
goes on in
I'll show you
education.
something.
But yet, still, all we're doing is pointing towards the teachers as
Oh,
being
I-
a
you know
problem.
I don't play that.
But that's
You
what
got-
you might not doing,
I don't
but
play
that's
that.
what they're doing. That's what the bookers of the world is doing. That's what Governor Christie's doing. That's what Cammie Anderson's doing. That's what certain members on advisory boards doing. All they're doing is pointing at them few bad teachers in a place, saying that you're the reason why. This is the reason why we got to shut
No,
the school
actually, I
down.
think they
You're the
do
reason
one
why
even-
they have
do a
not
step
done.
greater. I think they say they're smarter. We completely
said?
don't know,
Who said
and
that?
they're coming to take over. That's
Who?
what those people.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
I believe that they can do that. They think they can do that.
But that's the point I was
because our
trying to make
community
earlier.
is divided. A lot of the members of our community have been for sale. You can see that with the disparaging numbers when there's a school board election and there's a 4-year municipal election. So there's a great deal more to what you're saying that meets the eye in what you're talking about. Unfortunately, sometimes when adults take part in the process, the immediate concern are
But Anton, when you have a superintendent of a Newark public school system who holds a press conference on closing schools down, and you have to have tickets to get into the press conference when she's supposed
city address.
and-
I ain't never need to stay in the
listen,
ticket for Sharp James State.
listen,
city
we-
address.
I
why
agree.
you got Sharp?
listen, I agree. I agree. But I'm saying here we asking about community involvement, and yet still what we have is people who you got to require to have tickets to come into a press conference for them to tell you about your school and your neighborhood being closed.
Because
I mean,
they
and
think
this is
we're
and the
rude.
point
We're gonna start a riot.
the point that I'm trying to make is that these folks who claiming that they care so much about the children's education, who claim that they care so much about the community, are really people on here finding ways that they can siphon money from the educational system so that they can expand charter schools, so that their philosophy and theories about education can be tested. Or rather, this stuff will work. So all we're being used as is test dummies in urban areas to determine whether charter schools is going to be successful or is it going to be failure.
Not
Here's
that I
the
agree
problem
with it,
with
but what else
that.
is
Here's
new?
the problem. But here's the
Not
problem.
that I agree with it,
Here's
but
the-
what else is new?
Here's the problem with that test. Once you siphon away the dollars from the public educational system, and once you determine that you have so many failing charter schools, because that's what's going to wind up happening. More kids are going
it's a
to,
great
to
many
these
failed
charter
charter schools.
right.
Great many
But the
failed
money
charter
is not coming back to the public schools. And so all we're doing is
The money
we're
ain't coming back.
That's
gone.
But that's the problem. But that's the problem. So we create experiments that may not work, that siphon money from public education when we're supposed to be trying to build up public education. And we got people in charge of the system, of the government, like our Mayor Cory Booker, whose mission is to promote charter schools as a better alternative than public schools for their children. And yet and still, we acting as if these people really care about the city of Newark and the public educational system. So on one end, he's speaking before.
You don't support that.
Listen, I have a problem with him doing it too.
Right.
Listen, I got a problem with Barack Obama standing before educators, making it seem like they're better too. I don't discriminate against. I got a lot of issues with him, by the way. Ain't just that. You know what I'm saying? He lucky he get my vote this year. But
getting your vote?
Yeah, he lucky.
Narcissism.
You know what I'm saying?
Very contagious thing.
If I can find a Republican that supports labor, I'd vote for him. The problem.
You said vote for this. Hold up, wait. Now I ain't mean change the discussion.
We ain't change discussion, man. Come on,
change the subject now.
You stood and said this man called you on the phone and said, "My man, Rahman Mohammed,
man,
thank you for supporting me." Rahman Mohammed. You was walking around the phone.
Yes, he was.
I got this from Obama. You was like,
that don't listen. That doesn't mean you don't
He was.
He was that dude.
Why you gotta change the subject?
Y'all change the subject, man.
That doesn't mean.
But these are the type of people that care about our kids.
That doesn't mean you don't disagree with things that they say. And I'm saying that when leaders of the educational system in the city promote the charter schools over public schools, then this is the reason why the parents think that the charter schools is better, and the reason why they're sending their children out of the public school system into charter schools in an experiment that they don't know is rather going to work.
I agree.
I'm saying, to me, you know what I'm saying, we got to be very careful in this city about the people that come before us claiming that they care so much. And to be honest with you, that, the reality is that some folks got to stand up against this. I don't agree with the going just screaming at boy. I think we need to have a plan on how it is that we, we go against the grain of every year for the last few years, the unions have been called into the board, and because money going into the charter schools, we laying people off, residents too, by the way. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We're laying off parents, already struggling parents, who are supposed to be provide for their children, so that they can get an education in this city. We're laying them off, and we're sending them, and we're siphoning the dollars off into a different system, and we don't even know if the experiment worked. But I'm ready to move on. I know we spent too much time on that. The other hot issue I want to talk about is the congressional race. Now, y'all know we got some friends running for office.
I'm supporting Ron Wright for Congress, and I can leave on that second. Ron Wright's paid for that message.
I know, right? Listen. I mean, we have. Since the death of Donald Payne Sr., the late Donald Payne Sr., we've had a litany of candidates that's come out to, number of candidates that's come out to run. One is Nia Gill, Ron Rice, Donald Payne, who wants to follow his father, and Wayne Smith, who have decided to run in the...
Hey, man, well, that's Killer Payne's, because, Craig always used to run against him for man.
Wayne Smith, who's running in Irvington, and I just I have feelings about that I think that we don't come together and we don't plan our future. We get other people, we react. We reactionary all the time, right? So because we wouldn't have 4 people running for 1 seat if we weren't reactionary. And what seems to me is what we're doing is we're reacting, and we allow for ourselves to get off our game. We've been pushing Choppy, myself, I know for a fact we pushed Choppy to run for mayor in the city come 2014. And I was out there trying to line up as many people as I possibly can for him to be mayor in 2014, because I actually believe that Donald Payne Jr. has the best chance to actually become mayor, the next mayor of the city. And the problem that I'm having is with him going to Congress, it takes him out of the equation. If he goes to Congress, it takes him out the equation.
The real
and I think that his better position
you're looking at
be,
one aspect of it. See, the problem is now you really have to start dealing with political dynamics. We can theorize about a bunch of things. His father is deceased. May God be pleased with him. Right. May he grant him paradise. A hell of a man, a wonderful person. But now we have to deal with the political fallout. The political fallout to me says this: his father isn't here anymore. You have to deal with his uncle, Bill Payne,
Yeah.
who people have mixed feelings about for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's not my personal opinion. I'll tell him how I feel about it if he wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
But then you have to deal with the whole establishment and the alliances that once centered around his father. Then you have to deal with the political people and the subterfuge that is going to happen because there are people who want to settle old scores because you got to remember that. So that's how all these different things factor. I think him running for Congress, especially in a race like this, is a very volatile and hostile situation for him politically. If he loses the Democratic nomination, I believe that is telling. If he loses the Democratic nomination, if Payne loses,
Well, if Payne loses, I think that he will be finished.
I believe his
I believe everything will be up in air for him at that point.
And the problem is, everybody's talking to the political pundits and the strategists and the power brokers. Nobody's talked to the people. Nobody's went to the people and said, "What do you want?"
Right.
So there.
Well, they never do though, do they?
Well, it depends. It depends. And that's another problem because maybe the community should have organized around that. If we had a think tank or a group that went around and took polls and went around and dictated or wrote policy or community issues or went around our communities and saw the ills of it and wrote white paper behind it, then maybe you can rally around those issues. But then what we need, food, clothing, shelter. Well, what is the congressman from the 10th Congressional District brought back to Newark anyway? So you really got to start dealing with those things and really start answering those tough questions with respect to the deceased. You understand what I'm saying? So when you start looking at it like that, you got other people with sons that want to play, other things that's going on. People got political hard-ons for people. That's a fact. Forgive my colloquialism, but those are facts that we haven't factored into any of this. You understand what I'm saying? You got to look at the situation with Nia Gill. Well, that's clearly Lesniak. You understand what I'm saying? Ron Rice is going to be supported by his father. Donald Payne is going to be supported by his people. So then Craig's, I'm sorry, clearly to me, in my opinion, I could be wrong, Wayne Smith is only running to be part of the equation to dig at the Paynes, to siphon away from Payne. So who did he sit down and talk with? You understand what I'm trying to say? That for me, I just think that he would be better to stay put.
I got to get Linda in this.
That's my opinion.
That I don't want to. I mean, I think his dad did a wonderful job as congressman. I just think that Donald would be a better mayor than he would be. In my personal opinion, a congressman. I just don't think he's a policy person. I would rather have a policy person down there in Congress than to have somebody who I think would be better off as being a leader in the city. And I think that a lot of us would be prepared to follow him as a leader in the city if he took if he jumped into the mayoral race. But you was on the Payne slate in the South Ward. I mean, you was part of the team. I mean, what's your opinion on?
I think that this is like one of the things that happened when Sharp left office, when Donald Tucker got in office. We really didn't have a clear plan as a people as to who we felt like should be in that seat. And I also
What
think
seat, the congressional or the mayor's seat?
all of the seats. I think it's also a thing of like preparing leadership for that next level. Like who did we have in place to say that if Donald Payne didn't even run, God bless his dad, like you said, if he didn't run, who is the next person in line for that seat? We never had that discussion. It's almost like we believe that these people will be in office for forever. And that's not the case, and we know that's not the case. And so I think there's a conversation about developing leadership, not only in the congressional seat, but also for mayor. Because now the DMP is not going to run, who's going to run in his place? And who's the best candidate to run in his place?
But isn't that our fault though?
I do.
I mean, because Heather, I mean, to me, I mean, we waited because I mean,
my brother,
we didn't
he
have
just gave me a chill. I got cold.
Well, I mean, because I'm saying that we don't because
do
we waiting for them to prepare us.
No, I don't think we're waiting for.
When reality is that we should have been preparing ourselves.
We have a lot of talented young people. The problem is they don't give us room. They don't give us room to grow. We need to have conversations as to what needs to happen if Anton wants to be in a seat. What does Anton need to do? We know that he's educated, he's talented, he's going to fight for the people, but what does Anton need to do, let's say, if he wanted to be in a congressional seat? We don't have these type of discussions, whereas I think in other races and other cultures, they bring their people up. This is what you need to do. These are the people that you need to network with. This is where you need to be. We need to have those conversations, just like today you told me that there's not too many young female women in the political field. Why is that? Why aren't we having these conversations with women at young ages and saying, listen, we need to talk to you, we need to groom you and bring you up? We're not doing that.
A lot of it is some of us have our own agendas, and
I think that
and amongst our peer group, I think we too divided because we have loyalties to still people who used to be in power.
I think it's more complex than that. I think that a great many of us were born to the fathers we were born to, and we're just like them. I think that that's the biggest problem. I think that when we sit down and really want to move forward with some things, we can. But it's all about the mixture of the room, because everybody just can't go in the same room at the same time. Everybody doesn't belong in the same room.
And then I also think that people are afraid. They're afraid of a talented person, a talented young person, because they fear that you're going to come in and take their seat, as opposed to learning
working
from
with
them.
and learning
exactly.
from them. You understand what I'm saying? And that's another thing. I don't appreciate the fact when someone brings you in or grooms you for leadership, they think they can puppeteer you. See, that's one of the mishaps. That's the mishap. That's the problem. That's why I'm not really looking for nobody to groom. You understand what I'm saying? Because you got to groom yourself.
Right.
And you got to take your own lesson.
Right.
You got to take your own. You can't wait for someone to give you.
Why are we waiting for them to give us permission?
I don't think that you should wait for them to give you. You're not waiting for permission, but the thing is that people should be preparing you. It's like a rite of passage. Men before you should have helped you become a better man.
I agree with you.
Like
that would be
leadership.
Right. I would agree with you, Linda. That should be the process. The problem is that they never took. That was never. That's something that they never even thought about doing with any of us, right? I mean, they believe, like you said, that we believed they were going to be. No, some of them probably thought they were going to be there forever. And
I believe a great many of them did.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I believe a great many of them did.
So, and I'm saying that many a times, I remember a lot of times that I had this conversation with, I forget her name, but the lady that does the scenes all the time. That we
Dolores.
I had this conversation with Ms. Lewis today about. I remember when I was a young neophyte and I was challenging the powers to be all the time and going out there doing crazy stuff. I remember all of these folks, the Donald Paynes, the Ron Rices, all of these folks would say to me, if you want power, take it. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want it, take it. I mean, that was always their response. If y'all want to take it, no one's giving it to you, take it. That was always their response. And to me, it seemed like it was an excuse. Right. Not to groom folks.
Well, they didn't really do it and they didn't really want that.
And I think they felt like that because they had to fight for it.
Right. And so they feel like, and that's exactly. A lot of them feel we had to fight to take it from somebody, so you have to fight to take somebody. And I used to always say, why are we fighting you though? Yeah. You were fighting folks that didn't look like us. But now we're fighting, like you said, our fathers to take power. And so, and to me, we never really got together. We tried to get together, and then Corey got into the equation, and everything got haywire. But we really never, to me, the path that we originally got.
He didn't just get into the equation.
Well, he was embraced by us. I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
I ain't walk with him to help get rid of Buddy Gee.
Listen, Cory Booker. First of all, Cory Booker was one of my peers. We embraced him as a peer because he wanted to be a part of the process, right? So I'm not, clearly it was a mistake to embrace him because he made it all about him. No question about that. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? The reality of the matter is, though, I think that a lot of us who were originally in discussions about being in leadership positions should have kept on the path of trying to prepare ourselves for these offices. And then we wouldn't have what's going on now, because the problem here now, and from what my discussions is about what's going on in this congressional seat, a lot of it is trust. Is that we don't trust one another. Nope. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we can't trust one another and say, listen, I'll sit this one out.
Even when young people get together, the older people cause mischief with young people.
Yeah.
Andre Spate walked into a meeting and completely lied on me about something in regards to what Raspberry. And he did that at the behest of Steve. I don't speak to that man, nor do I have any conversation, nor have I ever been in a room for more than 5 minutes with him. I don't trust him, nor would I speak in front of him. But he sat in front of my pit, my man, and told him a bold-faced lie. And I texted him and told him he lied. So as long as you got people in the older generation doing that, trying to drive wedges.
Well, to me, that becomes our fault if we believe it. I think you and Raz got a better relationship.
Hey, that's why we talk.
To worry about what
that's why we talk. Brother Spade, it didn't work.
But
we was looking for you at the debate.
I think the seat should definitely stay in Newark.
Yes.
I think it definitely should go to someone who's going to be able to advocate for not only the district, but it's countrywide and it's international as well. And so you need somebody that's going to be strong in that seat.
Right. So I agree. That's my qualifications for going down under Congress. I just hope that
You said international. What do you mean?
I mean, because Congressman Payne fought
in Africa
a lot.
He created relationships.
Yeah, and
his primary duty, though, when he went, I understand what you're saying with respect to that. I'm not belittling that or marginalizing his efforts internationally. But his primary duty as congressman of the 10th Congressional District was to bring resources back to the 10th Congressional
Absolutely,
District.
but as a congressperson, you're on a national level, and so sometimes that calls for you to do things internationally. And we need champions Congressman Payne on the international level as well. I mean, so you think it's okay to just be quiet as a congressperson?
No, I don't, sweetheart. But what I'm saying is, when you're doing international trade and things and making agreements with foreign countries to bring things back that are beneficial to your district, that's one way of looking at it. That's what I'm talking about. When you're creating policy that may mirror some policy that you've seen in the international level in another country and brought it back to the 10th Congressional District, that's a way of looking at it. Maybe our dialogue and the final terminology with regards to that differs on what needs to be done.
All right, so our time's running short.
I want to have a policy discussion. You said we stop coming here, man. You're going to keep doing that. First you don't know the time. First you don't know the time. One day it's 6 o'clock, then it's 6:30. Now the time's short, right?
My time gets short. But I do want to, because I actually agree with both of you, right? I do think Anton's right that your main function is to bring down to the 10th Congressional District. But Linda's also right that once you become in Congress, that you should be able to play. That you should be able to play not just on a local level.
Tip on nail.
I think what Linda's saying is that you have to. What Linda's saying is that you also have to be able.
The greatest politician,
but you still have to be able to do
legislator in the history of the United States Congress.
Anton, I don't think that's what she's saying. She's saying that yes,
all I'm saying is
adequate
power is known for Harlem.
I got you, but what Linda's saying, just so we can clear it up, and I can
Charlie Rangel is known for doing for Harlem.
You absolutely do for your district, but I also think that it's important to be on that.
Sweetheart, I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm saying your primary focus. You're absolutely right. I'm agreeing with you.
And your promise as a United
States Congressman.
The congressperson's primary focus would not be their district, because we are the people that elect you.
Right. So listen.
And so you should be able to play that.
Now we just had a discussion. We just had a discussion, right? About party lines, right? We come on now, don't play. The party
going over the showtime.
Nah, you need to elongate the show.
The people elect you.
No, the people elect you because they used to go in line A all the way.
Well, that's true. But that's true. I'm sorry, that is true.
That is true.
We really want to get that debate right. We some sheep. We live. We know what I'm saying.
But you want to be on the line. But the people don't always go for
sheep.
But let's go off the line. So then you run off the line this time for district leader.
I'm not running off the line if I don't have to.
All right, then so
listen.
Right,
so the line is a lazy politician.
Okay,
that's not true. Sometimes we have good people on the line.
Linda,
I'm not saying you don't.
Anton.
I wouldn't mind being on the line, but I understand.
Exactly, but you want to benefit from the line.
But what I'm saying is, I don't mind not having to work, not being on it.
Okay, so listen.
That's what I'm saying.
With Dr. Purnell here, you don't go after Dr. Purnell like that.
Who?
Ron Rice Sr.
Yeah,
He's been elected off the line.
And he was put off the line because the politicians didn't like him. Not because the people didn't want him.
That's not right.
You're absolutely right.
Hey, folks, y'all two finished?
I had a really good time today.
Yeah.
Can I come back?
Yes,
hopefully I'll
now
get
you
better
be back 2 weeks from now. So let's get my Obama cup.
Listen,
I'm signing from the show.
Listen, I'm hoping
don't
that.
wear no shirt like that no more, neither.
You don't like that?
You don't do that no more.
What's wrong with this shirt?
What you doing with a
I think
Benny?
he looks really nice.
No, the Benny Hill shirt. He looks nice. The colors match. Don't nobody have no buttons on their collars.
That's all I got.
Thank you, right
well,
here.
Lux is Linda's the fashion person. Linda's the fashion person. She could tell you.
I can't afford it.
Really nice.
So listen, I think I'm just hoping that we
actually
resolve.
Right? You know I love you.
Of course we do. We understand that. That's the reason why we're going over our time. Because you don't do this to Dr. Purnell. I just want you to know. He don't be going. Yes, he does.
Oh my God!
Yes, he does. He's very professional with Dr. Purnell.
Stop this.
Disrespectful fish.
He's very professional. So listen, I want to thank everybody for viewing the Newark Seat. I want to thank Linda for stepping in for Dr. Chris Purnell. Hopefully
I like
we can have you
this
another
was a much
time.
more fun show.
And I want to thank. Our show was always fun, man.
This was fun though. This was like a reunion.
And I want to thank Anton Willer for once again. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Is he the co-host?
Bye.